Okay, in this video, we will be covering our end-to-end testing or user acceptance tests. Depends on how you want to call it. A lot of companies will call it a bunch of different things. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get to that. So, Ionic comes bundled with some stuff. It comes bundled with Cypress. Down here in our test folders, the stuff is red, but it's fine. It doesn't even get red here. It gets red in Cypress, and yeah, it's fine. But yeah, what do we have? End-to-end test. Yeah. So here we can test the UI or UI test of this example JSON, which I don't think is important. This is what's really important. Some commands file. Yeah, none of that's really important. Okay, so what we can do is, in our terminal, we can do npx. I think it's Cypress open, isn't it? Or do we have to actually install Cypress? Okay, let me refigure this out. Okay, so I found those commands. Yeah, normally we use npx Cypress open, and I think we still have to run this install, possibly. This is the one in the back. So let's see if we do npx Cypress open with the space in between it. It seems like it does work, so maybe it is already installed. What's new in Cypress? Oh, I don't care. Continue. And then test. So, you can click Chrome, start. So the test that it came with was the one that was for the template. So this test here, and tests, and then inspects. That is an test, and then inspects. That's the test that this came with this. Right, this is the one that was for the template for the basic, like an email inbox, sort of is what it was. But yeah, we have some tests that we can take from. Yeah, so we have this for the home button, and this is what I was using to help get the buttons from YouTube that YouTube was making very hard to get. But I guess we could see that. This example here. Let's go ahead and throw that in there, get rid of this. You'll notice that it has so this file is a TypeScript file and has the describe and it for the test. Just like in the backend, like in Anchor, as the describe and it. I think that's a part of TypeScript, but this assert is, or maybe even the framework for testing when it runs. I thought it was called Mocha. This is chai for the assert, some kind of coffee or tea or drink or something. But this is a Cypress test. So now we have this here. And what this is doing, right? The describe and the it. We visit a website, visit a URL. We're just putting in this one, but this could be like any website, like YouTube, for example. And this is getting the home button. It has this pound. I use it. It's an ID and a click. And it's saying after we click that, the URL should equal this. It should basically send us to the Jesus URL. And then we pause it, because if we don't, it'll just close and then we can't see anything. I don't even know if I put an ID like that on the home button here. Let's go see. Components, somewhere, nav bar, home button. No, there's a full home button and a small home button. So maybe those should be classes, and we should just put an ID on it. Let's make, because yeah, I mean, you would want it to work in either case, right? And then we'll just do a file and make it easy for us to grab it in our tests. Actually, we don't have to do anything in here. This is for styling. So we will turn these into, you can do Shift Alt left click to highlight vertically in here by default. class. So we got class, another button, ID equals a home button, was it? And I'll just also do that to our little button. Okay. This full home icon. Small. I don't even see a small. Oh, there it is for displaying or not displaying. So they're just there. Okay, so I think that is it. Yeah, let's try running that. Come in here. It runs. It goes to the M4A localhost. Clicks the home button. The search successfully. And yeah, that is a UI test. So yeah, back to the grabbing thing. Let's see. Do I have to? Why did it do that? How do I? Because I have it paused, right? And when it's paused, I click that and it opened the URL. Is what happened. I mean, you can click things in the button, but I wanted to actually be able to grab. I thought you could do that when it was paused. Let's see. Free resume. Okay. But anyway, like, you can use this thing to grab different things. Let's say this has an ID of little map selector, and it'll give you the Cypress command for getting it. And yeah, you could also get the home button that way, right? Well, this also is dot full home button, but that would change. So dot full home button wouldn't necessarily be the best because if it gets smaller, it would turn into a different button. Or it doesn't actually. It seems like they keep their resolution or width, their width calculations the same or something. But actually no, I can see the small home button. Yeah. Well, that ain't right. Huh? That definitely doesn't happen. Oh, what the heck? Oh, it must be something I did. Something I did when I messed with these things. Okay, we breaking stuff. When I mess with the home button and mess with these classes. I mean, I just turn these into classes. Oh, is it because these aren't classes? Is there still IDs? That's probably why. Okay. So does this change now? Let's see. No, it still doesn't change. But at least they're not both there. Okay. And now I can't click anymore. Resume or something. But yeah, now that's basically it for that. And that's basically, yeah, you would do some UI tests, but to do more than that, to do like anything with the chat, right? You would have to, because Cypress doesn't work by itself with extensions for like the Phantom wallet. I read that you could use something like Playwright, but I have not looked into anything like that at all. But yeah, I would say that the tests that are most important are, right, the backend tests, right? Because you deploy a contract, especially if you're going to make your contract not upgradable, right? It needs to not be broken. So it's important that you have, tests for the backend. I would say it's more important than the UI. If something breaks in the UI, you can always update it and fix it, right? Not to make light of it, but I would just say it's not as important as this. But eventually, we'll get to have those tests, and what those tests do is basically let you know when something breaks, like if the home button ever broke, right? And if we were running these tests like before we were deploying the website to be seen by the users, we run those tests before that to see, oh, hey, the home button's broken. It's not working. We have no way to send them back to Jesus. Oh, no. Right. But yeah, yeah. So just they basically like regression, kind of like regression testing to just see if anything's broken, and that just prevents problems. So it definitely some benefit in having the UI test. So, but they'll have to come later. There's just way too much other stuff to do. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so one thing that I thought that would be worth mentioning is that when you're running your tests with anchor tests, you can't have the Solana validator running, right? But when you run anchor tests and you're configured for local and stuff, and you run anchor tests, it actually uses the Solana test validator. So if you actually set like the stuff that you're using in the test to be connected to the front end, that stuff actually comes up in the front end if you have all the listeners and stuff working. So it's actually a pretty good way to, spot check things, make sure they're working, generating data. I mean, obviously you can enter in stuff manually, but this is a nice way to manually do it. You can also have some settings in your test, whether or not you want to downvote or unstar, since if you vote something 100 and then unvoted 100, then it's a 0, right? And then, yeah, maybe you just want to kind of test it up correctly. So this is running. The UI is a little slower than that. It has to have enough confirmation and stuff. There's the first comment, star and everything, unfetting, voting, loading down, applying to it. Yeah, and it's just running. Another reply. Yeah, and obviously, I mean, we didn't cover username, the tutorial yet. That still needs to be done, but putting in a large username. But yeah, you fill in data. You can check to see how it looks uh, on a smaller screen as well, right? Just a nice way of generating data to be able to test things and see how they look. I think another good way of testing things is also tables, which we also haven't really covered at all, but when you have tables and they're being populated with data, as everything's being called, if the information looks correct, then you can be fairly certain that it is correct. Yeah, you select the stars and the feds. This is like the net amounts and the post videos. I might saw that flash for a second and then go back to 0 because you vote and then you upvote and then downvote. So we can have, settings where we don't downvote and just set these things to false. And then when it would run again, yeah, see, there it goes. Yeah, voting for a reply, voting for another. Yeah, if we, yeah. But I do like this method of just quickly having some things that we can change and then we can run it again. Might also be some extra information to change, but if the data looks correct, we kill this and run it again. If the data kill that both. If it looks correct, it's I think it's a fairly good way to test in lieu of better automated tests. And also something to mention about this um, is that at the end of the test, because when the test run, it dies and then everything would, you know, disappear. But at the end of the test, you can put an endless loop. You can do while true and a sleep function. And JavaScript and TypeScript, it sort of works this way where you have to use like a promise and stuff. So a little bit cumbersome than in other languages, but basically, you put this at the end of it that way, the test will continue to run and you can continue to even interact with you can still, call functions and stuff if you wanted to. Like right now, even while it's running, I can call stuff, but it'll keep the tests running. And yeah, then you could just sort of, mess with the data and stuff while it's running. And now that we have those values set to false, no downvote, no unstarred, no unfed, we can see that this is coming in as we would expect it to come in. That just toggled off the custom username and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think using this is kind of valuable, valuable, making sure that shit's not broken. So I just thought it was worth sharing.
So yeah, we'll see you in the next video.